Hi again, Andrea. Thank you so much for meeting me once again. It got cut short last time. Sorry about that. But I'm so thankful that you were able to answer these last couple questions that I had. So I was curious when it comes to helping kids plan for past high school, how did you individualize those different plans for each student? The assessments and the different plans that you were talking about in our last interview. How do you make sure those are individualized for each of your students that you work with?
So how I could individualize the transition plans and assessments for different students, it would just kind of depend. So if I'm speaking on the side of a non-IEP, non-504 student, I would start my meetings with them as a freshman, and I would continue to have meetings to guide them on their line of path of like what career interests, what types of things interest them. And we would update and we would redo their plan every year, plus then every semester. So when you become a junior, students tend to take a lot more college classes. Every year when it came to registration for those, so in November time for second semester and April time for first semester of the new year, I would sit down with them twice a year to kind of go over that. And then when it came to my seniors, I would have a meeting right away. At the beginning of the year, I would have one in the middle of the year, and then I would have one about March time, and then right before graduation, just to make sure everything was done there. Now, when it came to IEP 504 students, then I would kind of take that a little bit differently. So I would do the same type of plan that I would with everyone else. Plus, then I would take advantage of their 504 IEP renewal meetings, and I would be a part of that to see what parents are thinking, what student is thinking. And then I would also lay it out in front of them to let them know what all is there, what all are options that they can do, how this would look as on our side, what they needed to do, what services that they would want to do. We would talk about their transition into letting the school know if they even wanted their IEP or 504 to follow them, which they would know.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that in the last one.
The school would know that they had it, but if you don't submit it, then and ask for those accommodations, then you don't have to get them. So some kids have gone that route. So I would just take advantage of those ones. And then obviously there was always, I would always email all the parents and ask them if they ever needed to have meetings with me. Any time of the year, it was always open. And then I worked very hands-on with our special education teachers to make sure that the classes and the planning that they wanted to do, we would line up. And like I had said before, unfortunately, a lot of mine chose not to go to college. So we would try to more focus in on finding some internships or job shadowing, or then even to help line them up a job after graduation to see like, okay, maybe you're interested in this. And then this person that's in this career. So maybe somebody is talking about wanting to do, I had somebody that wanted to do like farming, but wanted to do more of like a spray type of stuff, chemicals and everything like that, but did not want to go to school. So we found somebody that was a big enough farmer that was willing to kind of take him on as like a job shadow internship as kind of a working hand. And then he ended up working there and learning some stuff from him.
That's really great that was an option for him.
Now, like we don't do a follow-up or anything, so I don't know where that went or how things went, but that was something that we would try to do with honestly any of our students. But that was just something that we really focused in on those students as well, to make sure they had some sort of a plan after graduation and they weren't just going to sit home. And then some other things that stood out and that I've learned through my overall experience during these plannings is honestly, your first time parents, regardless of who it is, of that first child going through, they have no idea what to do. Unless they like work in a school, maybe they have a little bit better idea of it. But there's a lot of questions. You definitely can tell who those first time parents are. And then you can definitely tell who the veteran parents are. They've been through this. They know kind of what to do.
It's funny because I kind of have that even the preschool age too.
And then there's ones that honestly, like, they just don't want to ask any questions. They want to be walked through, but then also they want you to kind of do it for them. So we had this company called ICANN up here in Iowa, that it is a free service that any parent and student or just even child can go into, and they can help you fill out these FAFSA forms.
Okay.
And they give you assistance to make sure that you're filling it out correctly, that there's no errors, that you can get the best options for financial aid.
Okay.
So I always like to steer my parents and kids that way, because they are experts on the FAFSA, as I am not. I know about it, but I'm not an expert on it. And that way they can get that one-to-one time. Now, during COVID, they did offer virtual, and I do still think that is a thing that they are allowing, is that virtual side of it as well. That there are grants then too that we could apply for school. Unfortunately, in my previous district, when I did that, a lot of parents didn't come to it. It was like a parent night, and then we brought in ICANN there, and just unfortunately, a lot of them didn't take advantage of those. A lot of the other things with the transition is that kids just aren't prepared for writing different scholarships and having to do that scholarship process. They get into that senioritis, is what I call it, and they don't want to do it, or they just want to do a quick, like, click, 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 and get it done. That was a big thing, is like, I push scholarships all year round. Like, let's get it going. Dollars for Scholars is a huge one. I have my juniors start filling it out, because some juniors are eligible for scholarships. And I sent all that information out to the parents as well. And that's just something that a lot of them don't want to do. They don't want to fill out that time. They don't want to take the time to personalize
it's a lot of work.
And it's free money that's just sitting there. So that was something that was really hard to grasp, because I came from needing as much money as I could get to go to college, because I couldn't afford it. I came from a very financially strained family, and that's just some of these kids just are like, whatever, I'll figure it out. Then I guess the other thing that I really kind of figured out is, like, a lot of it is on the school. Like, they're going to get it figured out, but the kids and the parents have to do a lot of it themselves, and then coordinate with the college that they are choosing, or options that they're going to, that they have a lot more way. I can just send stuff, I can request them, I can help guide them, but I can't do it for them. And that's the big thing, is like, a lot of times those first time parents are like, well, what do I do? What do I do? Like, you need to do this. I'm like, well, I actually can't do it. Like, you need to do this part of it. So not only teaching the seniors what they need to do, but then also explaining to these parents, like, no, like, this is what you guys need to do. This is, like, I'm there to guide them and help them with it, but a lot of it is on them on that side of it. But overall, I think it usually always goes well. One of the big things I do think is what, like, kind of is interesting, is that the graduating seniors, then when they go to get a transcript sent after maybe a couple years after graduating, that whole thing has changed, because your transcript looks differently upon graduation versus 2 years later, because you get your official transcript when you graduate, then to a cumulative transcript at the final one. So sometimes we get parents and kids that will say something about how, like, it looks differently, but it's again a learning curve with it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I appreciate, thank you for, filling me in on all that stuff. And that's funny that you started talking about some things that you learned, because that was going to be my next question is, some things you learned from have learned, I guess, from your experience with working with, students who are transitioning into college or into the workforce. But I also would like to know, some things that you really have enjoyed about this part of your job too.
But I mean, overall, I think it's really fun. I like that career and college readiness and that type of planning with it. I thought it was really fun. And I just think a lot more information needs to go out there for these kids, so that the kids and parents, so that they know that these college classes are an option for them. Some kids can have their 2-year degree at the same time that they're graduating high school. Like, it's a really awesome option for them to be able to get that.
Sure.
But I do think that I wish that there was more options for that for kids that had IEPs or 504s, because a lot of them just get discouraged with what is even in class within a school, because unfortunately I do see it where some teachers, they don't want to take the time or day to work with unquote those type of students, and so then they think that that's how it's going to be in college, and it's like almost like it ruins their perspective of what it could be. Even though, like, in myself speaking, I did not like my high school classes. I thought they were boring. But once I actually got into my career choice and the classes that I got to pick, I loved it. I thought it was fun. I wanted to learn. I was more willing to read. I was more willing to actually put my all and everything into it, unlike the general education type of classes. Like, I had no interest in them. So trying to get kids to also realize that is something that is hard as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's pretty much kind of a little bit of that. And I'm sorry we got cut off with a crisis the last time, but
no, it's fine.
We'll
I get it.
There. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, no worries at all. I was just very thankful you were able to, get on here with me again. Thank you so much.